are We Don't It Patch and Switch. And now, two guys who put the word incident in incident response. It Patch and Switch.
I don't think there's a response.
Not wrong. Not wrong. Where is everybody? Are we here? I don't hear the other guy. Is he muted?
He's muted. He hasn't unmuted himself.
Okay. See, at least this time we can blame him.
Is this the button I press here?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the button you press.
Okay. See, I made a bet and I'm like, okay, I think I just won the bet because the audio is not working. And then the audio worked, but then it wasn't fully working. So what does that mean? Does that
mean means it's on you?
Does it mean that I lost the bet, or is it just no?
Like, it just means it's another Friday on the Patch and Switch program.
I'm going back to bed.
I thought the whole idea having the other show here was to
work the stuff out. They get to play around with how things all work and then figure it out.
I can't control when you can't unmute yourself.
How am I supposed to see how to unmute myself? Like, is there a button I press, or is there like a web?
Yes, there's a button you press. It's right there, the one that says mute at the bottom.
But I can't see the buttons. See, maybe it's my monitor setup, because I've got you guys up here, and then I have to make the window larger to make it so I can see, but then I don't see the buttons thing below.
See, I can test everything but you.
Okay, so it's my workstation, is what you're saying.
No, I think it's the user.
oh, it's a PEBCAC problem. Go back to those. Yeah. Is that what it is?
PEBCAC problem between keyboard and chair.
Nice. Thank you very much, Mr. Audio Guy. Appreciate that. So apparently, I need some remedial training. I thought it was all on announcer guy and then transitioning to you. But it's actually more than just that. We have to work out.
Yeah. It's the different system, right? It's a new system. Everything's different. Everything's different. Hey, happy Friday.
It is a Friday. It's been a while, my friend.
It has been a couple weeks.
Couple of
weeks.
A
fortnight, as they say in the, I don't know, rest of the world, I guess.
So we can actually explain that
this is what Fortnite is, and
like this
the game.
I know this is the new season of Fortnite.
It just launched this morning, actually. Yes. I have not yet had a chance to boot it up and play because, well,
I hear it's very sci-fi. I don't play Fortnite much, but
I haven't seen it. I'm sure I'll get it booted. The problem is right now all I do in what little free time that I have is play Diablo.
Yes.
So the new season of Diablo 3 started 2 weeks ago. It is actually the quote final season, though they have said they're going to continue to support it and develop on it, but I would imagine that a lot of their player base is going to shift to D4. Diablo 4, which the open beta is next Friday, the 17th, St. Patrick's Day. So if you pre-ordered, you get to play the open beta. I'm going to be away. I'm going to be in California, so I will not be playing the open beta. So unfortunately, I don't get that benefit.
That must be tearing you up, my friend.
Well, I mean, so I've looked at it and it looks beautiful, and I'm very keen on some of the characters. But I did hit Paragon 1100 yesterday, which means I've taken my character from 0 to 70, and then you go into the Paragon levels, and now I'm 1100 levels in that space. And yesterday I cleared my highest Greater Rift ever at 135. I've never cleared that high before on any of the characters that I've had. So I'm really enjoying the season. It's lots of fun. So
anyway. Congratulations.
So no, I have not done anything else other than playing Diablo.
I think I'm level 10 on Diablo right now.
It's because you wouldn't come in and play with me because you'd be at least level 70. But we can work that out. We can work that out. Anyway, at any rate, we should say hi to friends because there's friends in chat. Jan's here. Yes. He's already added a word for the title, which you can do with exclamation point word. In fact, he's added a couple. He's added Lost Bet and then button, but spelled BTTN. I believe that's button, or else it's. Who else have we seen this morning? We've seen Wired Canuck is here as his Vizio MVP. Steve Q Lane says hello, my people.
Nice.
He says, it's been so long. Glad to be here again. Glad to see you, Steve Aspen Forster, in the house. I see Kuzmik over in the tubes of you, which we are streaming over at youtube.com/patch and switch, which is also where you can go and get your fill of back episodes.
Correct. I just realized that there's probably 2 back episodes that need to get processed over there, but we're mostly up to date. But if you want to watch the video versions of that, they will be up there.
And we are available on your favorite podcasting application.
Very true.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Unless you have a rare one that's from 1987 that we haven't quite found yet.
Libsyn. Do you remember Libsyn?
No.
It's one of the first ones. It was a lip sync. I forget what it was, but it was a great podcasting platform for stuff that I did way back in 2000. I started podcasting in 2005.
What were you podcasting about?
That one there was It's a Green Hat. My It's a Green Hat podcast.
The It's a Green Hat podcast.
Yes.
That's actually kind of a cool name for a show.
And also it's also I was doing security bulletins for the regular IT guy. And you would hear Pierre Roman on that one occasionally as we would do it. And we actually got so popular that the MSRC people, or the security update people from Microsoft, asked me to stop doing it because people were viewing it as an actual official channel from Microsoft, as opposed to their channel, which was floundering horribly before it died. So I don't know if Pierre remembers that one there, but we basically would get notice of what the patches were. We'd record it the Friday before the patches were released. And then you could listen to it on Tuesday as a quick way of understanding the layperson's terms about what's going on and what's important with these different security updates.
What is the impact of patching?
It was
the should I patch it?
Basically, yes. It was a fun show. We do it like in cafes, in parks, in wherever we happen to basically set up the recorder. It was a lot of fun back in the day.
And now we just get on this show and talk about absolutely nothing.
You got it.
That's all right.
It works.
Steve Kulane says, memories of J-Shock telling me it's okay to make fun of Joey's height and Rick's not so height.
Nice.
Yeah. So what's been going on? What's new in your world? It's a weird time because you start to go into March. Mm-hmm. And you start thinking the weather's going to change, and there's currently blizzards happening halfway, like all around the country.
So someone tweeted out last night a photo of the snow coming into the Sierra Nevadas in California.
Yeah, they're getting pummeled.
6 different passes are over 100 inches of overnight new snow. Like, that's mind-blowing.
In the entire world, Utah's ski resorts are ranked amongst the top in the most snow this entire season, with the deepest base, and they're going to be open well into the spring. Spring skiing is going to be a thing.
Well, see, Utah and snow actually comes close to home, because next week I was supposed to be flying into Salt Lake City to be able to watch some softball, but they canceled that tournament because of the snow.
Ledwig shows up, says, good morning from Palm Springs. Hey, good morning. Ledwig's gotten to Coachella early this year. He's getting in line for Coachella.
You got it.
That's why he's in Palm Springs. TRP 8472 at his post, as usual, says, evening all, just had to renew his car insurance. Did you save 15% by switching to Geico? Wait, no, he's in the UK. They don't have Geico.
Progressive, maybe?
I don't know. He says, TRP 8472 says, snow in the north of the UK, had a foot of snow. So in the UK, if you get more than an inch or two, the whole place shuts down, right? It's kind of like
because they don't know how to measure what an inch is. They measure it in stones or something, don't they?
Stones? I think that's weight. Is it?
Oh, that's weight. Oh, so yeah, they're metric. They're metric. Got it.
Ledwig says he's at the BNP Paribas Open. I believe that's tennis.
Tennis, yes. I saw some pictures.
Tennis. J-Shock, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you're trying to think about work type stuff to do, I'm still trying to think of what I was doing for work this past week.
That's okay. That's why I'm stalling, because I haven't figured it out either. So
For me, I've got a few things on the pot. This is my document writing piece for things that's going on right now, and I've been asked to write up some docs and some summaries for different things for the exec different meetings. And one that was interesting was writing up a doc on the experiences of doing and running community or first party or third party events and different things that we should be doing at these different said events as well. So it's been fun to kind of dig back into when we used to be in person, reaching out to different people online, asking them their thoughts on stuff, chatting with you about online stuff and chatting with you about how to handle in-person events.
So wait, is chatting with me when I go off on a complete rant while you're sitting in your truck on your laptop waiting for your daughter through an appointment, and then I just all of a sudden see child come in?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
As I'm screaming profanities at the top of my, not that it's anything new, because
it's
been around us for a long time. So
yeah,
it's a known thing.
Yep.
Actually, I've read your document. I actually prior today I had to restart the machine, as I always restart for a fresh start for the show. But I had the link that you'd given me, so I'd been kind of watching it as it has been progressing. And
my issue right now is I've got too much information, and so my good friend Oren Thomas has said, Rick, get it out of your head. Like, put it down someplace. Get it out of your head. You got a white block going on. You got a writer's block going on. Get your ideas down in jot form here or there or something like that, so you can visually see it, and then go off and organize them, and then just start writing. Because right now I'm too blocked up with simply having too much stuff to be able to say. I've got a lot of opinions. We've been around a lot of conferences in the careers of ourselves and others. And so I'm trying to do a better job at that. So we'll see how I do today.
So speaking of events, there was an event held in Melbourne, Australia yesterday.
Oh.
Which is, I believe it's serverless something or other. That's a serverless conference. I'm going to go on Twitter. I'm going to find it. But I think it's SLS or something like this. So it was packed. So one of my colleagues and folks on my team, the legendary Sarah Young, was there speaking.
Sarah Young.
Yeah, you actually have to preface it with the, because she's kind of a big deal. Yeah. Like, she makes me do that on all of our calls, right? Whenever I introduce her, it's the Sarah Young. She's gonna kill me for saying this. I probably dug myself a hole now. At any rate, so she was there speaking, and there were lots of photos. And here's an interesting thing that I saw from the photos at this event. Getting a little more diverse, not just in terms of, having women and other folks, but I saw at this event the youths. It appeared that a lot of the attendees were younger. They were the youths. The two youths.
The youths. Okay. Interesting.
So I was like, okay, this is because this is something that we've talked about, which is traditionally when you go back to the early days of conferences. So listen, when we were doing tech ed, we were literally doing demos with tin cans and string. Okay. This is what we were doing.
Yeah.
But you kind of
servers on stage.
Well, yeah, we had to roll them in with like a dolly for $1.
Yeah.
So back then you kind of had your kind of all-knowing gray beard, knowledgeable people, the kind of, there's a word and it's just totally escaping me, but just kind of the person that everybody looks to, the mentor. And then you had a group of up and coming people. Serverless days and Zed. Thank you, Visio MVP. Serverless days. So then you had this up and coming group of people who would learn from, the bearded, knowledgeable folks. And then you could kind of see there's a bubbling of people who are starting to show up in the community, and they're starting to, they've just gotten their first session at an event, right? And they're super excited and that younger kind of thing. And then it seems to lately just kind of staggered out, where there's just kind of the same thing. And I'm not seeing a lot. I wasn't seeing a lot of the younger attendees at the events and going, who's the next MVP? Who's the next community leader? Now, granted, over the last 3 years, there haven't been a lot of in-person events to discover that, but I've been asking around. There's a gal that I mentor out of Germany, and I'm like, how are you reaching out to folks? She's very young. I think she's 21. This is one of those things that I thought was very surprising to me, because I've done a few community events since the end of the pandemic, and it's still kind of the same, a lot older or middle-aged. And I'm wondering where the youngers who are looking to build this as a career, and where are they going? And seeing this at the Serverless Saturday, some of those pictures, if you go out, head to Twitter and take a look at it, it makes me super happy. I know it's Australia, but Australia, it's kind of it can be a predictor of things. So,
well, they always are ahead of us by time, right?
Well, at least today. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I'm excited. I was excited to see that. Just start to see a younger group of folks at the event.
I don't know if you're looking at the chat at all, but right now on the Twitch side of things, our audio guy has experienced 3 different network hiccups already, or at least 2 different network hiccups, which previously would have taken the show down. But because we've now moved this into the cloud, we have been able to continue to ramble on uninterrupted. I like that.
I like to ramble. Yes. Steve Q Lane says talking to people behind the products and programs at TechEd and Ignite was always awesome.
Yeah, I hear that part a lot. It's the concept of being able to have those hallway conversations, have those questions answered. I remember you and I, when we used to do the countdown shows and do the preparatory work for your unofficial guide to these different conferences and events and stuff like that. You would always talk about the experience of back in the day, going and like writing down all the questions you had to go off and get answered for the different things that were going on inside of your environment and different things. And you come prepared with your book, or maybe it was electronic, I don't know. It was on your kin device or something like that.
No. I'm not that smart. Yeah.
But then you'd go off and you would seek out and find the different people to be able to go off and ask questions. And, you know, I don't know if people realize this, but we used to do conferences that were internal conferences for Microsoft people to go off and connect with other Microsoft people internally. And I found that I always appreciated the public conferences, like the TechEds and the other conferences that we have going on, where the people you needed to connect to, even as a Microsoftie, were there, but they would be easier to get a hold of because they didn't have they didn't need to go back home to be with their families because they were on the road. So you get your questions answered easier because they'd be sticking around longer, engaging with people, and you'd obviously let the other people that were non-Microsofties go off and ask questions and stuff, but then you'd be able to like grab them at the end to ask them a question.
There's a term that Sarah's taught me, which is BarCon and HallwayCon.
BarCon and HallwayCon. I like that.
Which is the hallway the hallway conversations or hallway conferences, and then of course the bar conversations, which are, you know, again, it's, you know, you have a captive audience of like-minded people they want to get together and discuss. But I think there's something to the knowledge sharing of connecting, and Steve Q Lane sparked an idea in my head, because oftentimes when you go and you're chatting with some of these folks, you will have a question. And you're like, look, I have this problem. But the other thing about being able to talk to the people behind the things that you do is that you just gain a different insight and maybe gain a little bit of trust with the community and the audiences, because you're there and you're you may not be talking about something that's related to a specific problem, but you get to know kind of, it was always fun just to even before I joined Microsoft to sit around and just listen to people like Snover talk, right?
Yeah.
And just their thinking behind things. It's just it's one of those cool things, and I definitely miss those things. And so yeah, figuring out how to change the in-person experience without changing the in-person experience, right? You think that there's a way to disrupt it, but then there's certain things that just shouldn't be disrupted.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I'll share my thoughts and musings
in a blog post ?
It could be a blog post. Actually, I was talking with our good friend Tasha last night, Tasha Scott, from SharePoint, the old SharePoint days. She works in
Yeah,
Power
yeah.
Platform now, but Tasha's
Yeah.
awesome. She actually went through, because she used to be an organizer inside the SharePoint Saturdays type stuff in the New York cities and elsewhere on the East Coast back in the day. And she's like, I actually wrote down a whole bunch of stuff about putting on community events and put it in as a GitHub repo so that folks could go through and actually do pull requests, make changes to it, make updates and suggestions and stuff. I'm like, oh, geez, I got to go find that repo and find out what she's saying in that area. But I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm actually speaking at a new budding conference that's kicking off.
Is it called the New Budding Conference?
No,
I believe
it's
that's a different industry.
No. that's legal in the state of Washington. It's not legal. I don't think it's legal in Atlanta where I'm going. I'm going to Atlanta, man.
That's in Georgia.
I know, in Georgia. And that is, I want to say the week or I gotta get my exact dates out here, but I want to say March 25th. Yes, Saturday, March 25th, in 2 weeks' time.
That's when I'm in Yakima.
Yeah,
the Palm Springs of Washington.
I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia, but actually 45 minutes outside of Atlanta. Let's be specific. Speaking at the Atlanta Cloud Conference. It's a brand new one that's kicking off. So I'm going to be doing some hallway sessions as well as regular sessions and the keynote. So it'll be fun.
Wow.
It'll be fun.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Ledwig saying it would be nice if certain large in-person events went back to being long enough to have those opportunities for a connection. A 2-day conference makes it difficult.
Length of time is definitely a factor.
I think there's something, I don't know. Yeah.
We're still figuring that stuff out.
We've got to figure it out. And I'd love to have the community, share into your thoughts and things like that. So while you've been writing those posts and I've just been reading along because you sent me a link because I was trying to help you. And as normal me being me, I don't help much.
Yeah. You sit there and you yell at me. That's all.
Diablo.
Yeah.
But I've been stewing on the AIs.
Oh yeah.
Because as everybody knows, do you remember
AI all the things, man?
Well, yeah, remember back in the day we used to say sprinkle a little DevOps on it?
Oh yeah. Just to the cloud. Everyone.
To the cloud? Yeah.
To the cloud.
You kids are too young for that. And now it's a little, put some AI on it. And so from a security perspective, obviously there is the concern of how do you make sure that the AI was trained properly, ethically, the data that was used is not going to expose something.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's a flip side that myself and a couple others on the team have been chatting about, which is the how to use AI for evil. And it's not so much how did
I know that you would be doing AI for evil specifically?
So listen, it's a learning thing. It's how are people doing it and what are the things that you have to be concerned about, but presented in a different manner. So in a typical, session about securing AI, somebody would just be all about like, well, how do you protect? Well, in order to protect, you really need to know what are some of the things. And in less than a couple of weeks after the Bing chat thing, I don't know if you saw this, there was a tweet out there about somebody who had leveraged it to go and it knew about certain websites and versions of the websites and that there were issues that unpatched exploits that could be used.
Oh yeah.
And AI was helping them do those things. And so it's something that we're doing. As we've spent quite a bit of time this week just tossing some ideas around about how we would approach something like this, and want to put together probably a talk that the majority of the security advocates could be delivering, just as a conversation.
It's good to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks in the developer advocacy side are all about how can you leverage it? How can you leverage it to write better code? How can you do these things? And we want to approach it from this is great, and you should absolutely do these things, but please keep these things in mind.
Right.
So don't put credentials in your code because AI can pick that up. Right? Guardrails. It's just like anything. But I've also been, I said this on the last show, I was using AI to write ads for Facebook to sell things.
Nice.
It's awesome.
I've used AI for helping me initially craft something, like give me a starting point, but then I just
AI wrote what I was reading, didn't it?
No, it didn't actually. Like things like
I know it
things
did
like
because
YouTube
there's far too many
descriptions.
typos and the word "a" in the document.
So I've been using it for initial seeded ideas for how to do some hooks on some tweets, but then I personalize it after the fact. I've used it for some YouTube descriptions because I hate writing YouTube descriptions. So I'll use that to start, but then again, I go in and change it after the fact, correct some of it sometimes as well. So that's been helpful. Yeah, it's a productivity tool, helping out for getting past some parts. And it's definitely still got very much far away to go. I keep on reminding my son, and my son Mac is interested in this right now because he's doing a philosophy course and he's trying to tie AI into the philosophy course and different things. Like, what would different philosophers think about this concept of AI?
Okay, that's really cool.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to reading.
Your kid comes up with some really cool ideas. That's actually really cool. I'd read that article.
So, well, he's trying to finish that essay. It's one of his final essays for the class coming up this weekend. So,
what would some of the historical philosophers think of AI?
That's an even simpler question to go off and to ask Chat GPT itself, or Bing Chat. See what they say. Pretend you are a philosopher from the Neolithic times. I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
see, these are yeah. See, this is geek. The geek in me just starts to go, okay, I see these things. And Pierre, yeah, you're 100%. He says in chat, what are the compliance and licensing impact if the AI gives you code? Who owns the IP?
Yeah. So it's a very interesting discussion. There's internal conversations about how we should be approaching this and is it, as you mentioned, is it ethically trained in what it's doing? The biggest concern folks have is that, it may be respecting the original repos of different amounts of code that are out there, but what about it when it happens to come across a public repo that someone else did not respect the licensing of the code that was taken? So it's like a derivative 1+ or 2+ steps away. And how does it handle that? So, and ultimately it's not actually copying word for word. It's potentially going and changing stuff. So it's all this lovely new era of having to figure this crap out. And so I'm just hoping right now that it's not our government legislatures that go off and try to put guardrails around this, because usually they're not exactly the most up to date.
Well, you bring up an interesting point, because in the music industry, AI is now starting to pop up where there's tools that you can put a song in and it'll spit out the individual stems or the tracks, right? So here's the drums, here's the bass line, here's the vocal, and that's great for us DJs who like to do mashups. It makes our life a lot easier. I to be honest, I needed a tiny little snippet of just one, like less, I think it's 2 bars, so that I could just change it just a little bit for a walk off, so they made the ending sound right, just because they use a particular piece of music that is fully licensed that enables me to do this. However, they did not have this particular section because I was basically trying to write an ending to a song using parts of the middle. And it was just simply for a walk off. So there's this really cool thing and there's this really cool section, but the section is a bridge and the bridge moves into another thing. So you can't just end it. So I needed to change it up an octave. I threw it in a tool. It spit out a thing. I grabbed that, dropped it in. Now, again, I have the licensing for this track, so I can actually do this. I can remix it. I can do whatever I need to do with it because I've got the rights for it. Super cool. It just definitely changed my workflow, because what I would have normally had to do is go to various sections of the song, find the drums, cut those out, sample them, put them in to a MIDI thing, put it like a couple hours, right? This, I threw it into an AI engine. It spat it out. I went in, I used a tool that changed that allowed me to change the pitch and the tone. Done.
Nice.
And it actually sounds really cool. I was actually really proud of myself, because I'm like, I know what it's supposed to sound like. I don't know how to play it to make it do that, but I know what it's supposed to sound like, and did it. So it was kind of cool. But again, there you go. What do you like? What are the implications of that and the creative licensing of that? And the sampling thing has been an issue in the music industry forever. I don't know if you're aware of this, but last Friday, for the first time since the for the first time ever on streaming, and for the first time since the mid 90s has been available, is De La Soul's first debut album called 3 Feet Tall and Rising. And this album has not been able to be on any streaming service prior to last Friday because of all of the legal holdups that it's had because of the samples that were used.
Oh, yeah.
So the entire album is essentially like a lesson in sampling, right? Everything from a Sesame Street sample, because one of the songs that on the album people know is 3 is the magic number, which is from Sesame Street, kind of a thing.
Oh,
they sampled Hall & Oates.
The pinball machine song 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12.
So now you're starting to see, okay, this is a part, you know, the industry has changed, right? Sampling has become an integral part of music. I mean, I'm sure your daughter knows this, but there's a song that's very popular now. I forget who the artist was, and we were sitting at dinner with some of the dance girls, and she's like, well, do you know who this artist is in this song? And I knew the song, and I go, do you know that song sampled a hip-hop track from 1991?
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, what? And I pull it up, you know, Sugar Hill Gang. And she's like, what? And I'm like, y'all are not creative at all right now.
Yeah. You got to catch up.
Yeah.
You gotta catch up.
Yeah, exactly. TRP8472 says Rod Trent covered AI on his blog post for Sentinel and Defender. Yeah.
Very cool.
Been encouraging Rod to do that. We actually had to have him write a bigger disclaimer at the top of the blog.
This is not a forward-thinking statement or something.
This is not a support statement for said products, but a way that you can leverage the tooling to get the data that you need.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's like you said, hopefully some of the governments don't get involved in this, because I think the industries might be able to help.
Yeah.
And I also think it's going to spawn some creativity. Because I know that's I kind of got in a rut DJing. And it wasn't until I found mashup artists that it allows me to do what which is some of my friends, my other DJ friends and producer friends say Joey has a very distinct sound, and that he plays a lot of things that are throwbacks to 80s and 90s, but with a more modern take. And it's the same thing where I'll bring in more pop elements into hardcore EDM, very, you know, jump up, pump your fist kind of music. And that's what kind of rebooted my whole interest in DJing again. And I think it's super cool. David Guetta. I don't know, if you know this, but he's actually got a new track coming out. I don't know if he's releasing it. He's playing it in his sets. He's posted it on YouTube, and it sounds like Eminem is rapping over this track.
Oh, yeah.
Saying something about the future rave, loving the future rave, or something like that. Now, if you've listened to Eminem, you know he does not particularly like electronic music. He's said that at least in his first album, right? How Guetta created this is he used an AI system to write the lyrics in a style of Eminem, and then he used a second system which actually created the sample that sounds like Eminem, but it's not Eminem.
Nice.
So it's a cool creative thing, but you can definitely see, like, that's I don't know if that's really the smart thing to do, because now you're taking like the likeness of somebody, right? You see the deep fakes and some of these. It's music. It's not Eminem. It's a computer generation.
They start doing a deep fake likeness of Patch and Switch. And it would be easy to put content into it because we talk about nothing. So I could just like randomly grab a stream.
No, it would be super easy because of the amount of audio issues we have. You wouldn't even need to put a deep fake of our voices.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Anyway. I just realized outside of the AI side of stuff, to go non-AI for a second here, some other stuff I was doing besides writing documents, because I do a shout out to this one here, is aka.ms/Windows Server AMA.
You did an AMA.
There was an AMA, and I was just there, but like I was amongst the rock stars and the quiet behind the scenes rock stars of the Windows Server platform all up. We had support professionals in there. We had escalation engineers. We had feature owners. We had the lead architects inside of this area. It was a 1 hour, Reddit style, because they don't actually do it on Reddit. They do it on their own platform, Tech Community. But it's the Reddit style, just text, writing your question, and then people respond. And then we have a Teams call. I don't know if you know this, but we have a Teams call that's open like a bridge in the background. And we're just back and forth on audio chat. Like, hey, you got this one from Lisa? No, okay, I got that one. You take this Windows Update one over here. Okay, no problem. I'll do that. So we don't stomp on each other for doing the responses. 120 questions were asked.
Was there a theme?
It just Windows Server, meet the server team.
No, sorry,
the theme that naturally developed was mostly around upgrades, was mostly around problems people had. Hey, I've got Windows Server update services installed on my 2012 box, and I can't seem to do an in-place upgrade to whatever, and then someone would chime in the background saying, that's because we blocked the in-place upgrade from 2012 to 2019. That's N+3. That's too much. You've got to go back for N+2 instead, N being the current version they're talking about, and 2 versions past that, whatever it is. So I learned a whole bunch of stuff that was really, really cool in the back end. And, it's all there for people to go off and see in the chat area. But we had so much fun doing it, and the team had so much fun doing it. They're like, we should do this more often. And I'm like, yeah, you should take a book from take a page from the book of the identity folks that are doing this on a regular basis. They just get together.
Yeah, they do their Twitter chats.
They do the Twitter chats, the spaces or whatever it's called.
Yeah, Twitter spaces. Yeah, is that what it is?
They do other things like that as well. And I'm like, there's definitely a lot of interest. It's not just all the latest and greatest cool stuff for the cool kids to be using in the cloud and other things. But then there were questions from things like the new Azure edition of Windows Server 2022. They're talking about migration topics. They're talking about upgrades an awful lot. Some really weird ones in there as well, which were fun. Just some very.
Have you noticed the number of comments lately on the YouTube video for the upgrading to file servers?
Yeah. They just keep on coming. So very, very cool. I think my auto tweets of trying to surface this stuff from Microsoft Ignite back in December timeframe or November timeframe, whenever it was, are starting to run out. So I got to find some more content for that. It's been great to see people get re-engaged with that content. So that's again another thing from the document that's writing the document is that how do we resurface on a fresh basis the stuff that's still relevant on a timely basis in a contextual way that people will actually engage with it again, rather than just like one and done kind of approach. So anyway, that was my other shout out. I want to make sure in case you're interested, and keep your eyes open. If you happen to work with Windows Server, aka.ms/Windows Server AMA, will probably be surfacing once again in another month or so.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's jump to the second segment of the show, which is beer money. The support that we do for our friends, our family, our family's friends, sisters, pets, uncles, dogs. There is an awful lot of turning things off here as we start packing up things, as we're getting close to making the move to the lost wages in the Nevadas. Just discovery of stuff, and just like, we really using this? Can we do it? Do we need this IoT controller? Can we turn that off and getting it packed up? So there's not a ton of support happening here. We're just trying to get through the next 3 weeks, because so we've got our dance districts competition, which is luckily at our high school this weekend, but because it's our high school, I'm running all the audio and doing all of those things. And we have to run the competition, which is a whole other thing. We immediately turn around next Wednesday, get on a plane, fly to California to compete at nationals in Anaheim. And then when we fly back from that, we have a week's time, and then we head to the Palm Springs of Washington, known as Yakima or Yaka Vegas.
The Palm Springs of Washington.
The sign as you're going into Yakima says that.
Does it?
Yep, there's a sign right off the side of the road, right before the first exit.
It says,
"Welcome to the Palm Springs of Washington."
Yeah,
the weather is nothing like Palm Springs, let me tell you that.
Yeah.
But at any rate, and we head there for state. So it's basically just trying to keep the dancer attached to all, her muscles and everything, because she's, it's the wear and tear of the season. And then it's just keeping sanity. What about you? Have you been doing any support things? I see you've got an entirely new background.
So I've been working to slowly upgrade my background. A while ago, you've seen I've had the shelves put in. That was an IKEA purchase to get some more stuff. It's primarily to unpack boxes. This weekend, I'm going to work on it some more, but I've got my lighting system up there now doing some things. So that's, I'm not sponsored, but would like to be. I'm using the El Cheapo Govee lights, which are
The Costco ones, right?
They're Costco. They're Amazonians. They're Chinese knockoffs of whatever. I used to be a big Philips Hue person, but I switched over to Govee. It's a little bit more cost effective. The problem I have
the
right
LifeX
now
products. I'm a big fan of the LifeX.
The problem I have right now is I think it's right here.
Yeah.
The lovely simple two-sided tape that they give you to be able to put the clips on to the shelves. Oh crap. Absolute crap. So I've got to get around to getting some better quality clip.
You need to go and get the 3M one. Yeah.
The 3M one, or have you seen the nano tape? The transparent stuff?
No.
So it's transparent. It's almost gum-like.
Okay.
But it has nano suction thingies built into it that it's not glue that actually sticks. It's actually these little tiny nano grippy suction cup things that actually are smooth to the human eye.
Wow.
It sticks. And because it's not glue, you can take it off and then it doesn't leave a residue on the wall or whatever it is.
So what is this called?
I want to call it's called nano tape, but then it's
nano tape.
Not knockoffs you can go off and buy and stuff like that. So I bought some nano tape. It's great for college dorms because you can put like shelving.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because I've got another college kid going off. So
you got it's clear, transparent. I can show you some next time. I don't have any in the room right now.
So Aspen jumps in saying, my wife got a roll of that tape. I was dubious, but it really does work well.
Oh no, it's ridiculous, and it's terrifying how strong it is when it's on stuff.
That's cool. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
TRP 8472 says, I think you can buy LED strips on a long roll and then cut and solder to length.
Yeah. So
that I do not believe that you're allowed near soldering irons for another 2 years, right?
No, still the infractions in place, the restrictions in place. It's part of our terms of settlement. So
when we were talking about Yakima, Kowski jumps in and says, Yakistan, as my army son says it.
Yakistan.
I love that. I love that. Aspen says that tape sticks to things that you wouldn't expect tape to stick to.
It's crazy. So the goal is I'll be taking each individual clip off painfully and then scraping off the crap knockoff 3M stuff and then putting this stuff on in its place and trying out that.
So actually,
and then you can see here on this side, I've got a different style light that's two things, one there and one at the bottom. Those are just your traditional triangular lights that you would put behind a TV or put in the corner or something like that for some ambience. I'd be able to do some stuff.
So actually I do have a support issue, but it was not something that I was able to do support. But I ran into an issue. You notice that my nice little nano lights, my nano leaf lights back behind me are not on.
Oh yeah.
Run into an issue, and it's a known issue where the controller, just due to like power fluctuation or unplugging, and we're doing a lot of unplugging and replugging in of things lately.
Yeah.
The controller just dies. And I came in the other day and it had not been unplugged. So I don't know what happened. And the controller, unfortunately, was not working. And so when you turn it on, it's just every one of them is white. So kudos though to the folks, the Nanoleaf support folks. I sent an email with the serial number, the experience. They asked for a photo. Just to verify that it wasn't somebody like just turning it all on all white. I guess there's a specific color shade that they have that they can tell. And they've got a new controller on their way to me, which was amazing because these lights are 3 years old.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, no problem. Here you go. Here's a new controller.
Lifetime warranty.
It's out of stock, but when it gets in stock, they'll send it to me.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. I'm still a little now. I'm a little dubious because the second time it's happened to me. So it's I'm like, I don't know, because I really like they've got these new strip kind of lights. These like that look like sticks. I forget what they're called. Lines. That's what they're called. Nanoleaf lines. And they've done some real. If you go to their Instagram page, again, I'm target audience, right? Because I own it. And Now it's going to show up on all of yours because I'm talking about it. But did some really cool. They add the lines to the shapes, and it does some really cool things. And I'm just like, ooh, I should do that in the new place.
Well, I want to find some lights I can light up my Microsoft sign with, because it's metal, and then it has a 1/2-inch thick transparent epoxy or some transparent
like
plastic
do you
type stuff.
think a couple like strip lights?
So I'm thinking some strip lights along the top edge might give it some interesting lighting.
Yeah, maybe
options. I also need to actually hang it up because it's really heavy and it slides down and knocks everything off the shelf. So, I'll get there.
2 o'clock in the morning.
You know, I gotta put some artwork up on the walls too, man. So I gotta get that done. I'm just not a designer type person.
Hey, I noticed that your motherboard's still in the box there, buddy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
Enough said.
Yes, it is. Thank you. Thank you for reminding me.
Beer talk.
I am sadly out of beer. But this weekend, because Kelly's away traveling, I have less things I have to do on my honey-do list. I will be putting together all the different pieces of the brewery that I've been building piece by piece over the last year to get back up and running again, to do a dry run test.
Very cool.
Or actually a water brew, as they call it, to be able to see if all the parts are together and I'm missing anything, because I need to freaking brew some beer. So I haven't had any recently, and I definitely want to. And as far as beer that I want to drink and see, Brewdog has been advertising their new Dark Heart Stout all over the place. And I want to see if I can find some of that somewhere.
Hey, do you know where there's a Brewdog?
Las Vegas. Las Vegas.
I'm just saying. And you know
what? I'm just waiting for the invite when you get your keys and you actually move in there.
Because they're there, they sell Brewdog in the grocery store as well.
Oh, even better. Even better. So
Wire Canuck asks, he pins a question in chat saying, so if Kelly is off somewhere, does that mean early DMZ? Question.
Oh, nice.
Speaking of beer, some news. I don't know if you're aware of this, but at Father's Day time here in the Washingtonians, particularly the Seattle side, they do the Washington Beer Festival during Father's Day.
Correct.
That event has been canceled for 2023.
I did not know that.
Which I'm really sad about, because it's my last one. And this is something that we enjoy going to. It's over Father's Day weekend. So apparently the organization that puts it together is having financial issues, and they're not able to execute it. So hopefully it'll be back in 2024, but that, however, will not be happening. Which means instead, I'm going to have to go see The Cure, who is coming. They announced a tour. They're coming on June 1st here in Seattle. I was trying to get Chunga to come up here. He's like, June 1st, it's still winter there. No. He's not wrong.
Chunga has gotten
still winter. June 1st would still be winter, but I need somebody to go to The Cure with me, because my wife is not interested. She's like, no. Are you into The Cure? I didn't know if you're into my like new wavy gothic music. You sometimes look at me and go, this is not like.
I can sing every word to every Cure song.
Yeah, okay.
I used to wear army boots, trench coat, and army berets with John Lennon glasses in high school.
Favorite Cure album?
See, I don't know names. I know the Cure songs. So I'm not that much of a huge diehard fan.
Fair enough. So fun fact, I've actually I was listening to
now you're making me look up the Cure album's name.
That's okay. I was so they performed at Wembley Arena, and there's a really cool video. It's probably illegal, but it's on the YouTubes. And they played for 3-something hours. And so there were some songs. I'm like, what album is this on? And I look, and so I've kind of went back on the Spotify's and started listening to some of their older albums. And I approached them with more appreciation now than I did when I was younger, because I wasn't so much into the more sad style of the gothy side. I tended to be a little more bubblegum new wave boy. But then also the new releases from Depeche Mode, outstanding work. Both new singles from their new album are really, really good. It's like, oh my God. And so now I realize I'm my dad from when I was younger, and I'm going, why are you going to also see all these oldies bands? And I'm like, they're not oldies bands. Fuel Sample, She Sells Sanctuary is not a Cure song. That would be The Cult
Yeah.
Different band, different part of the world. The Cure
Also
is
another one I
from-
used to listen to.
The Cure is from the UK. The Cult
Yeah.
is a US based band, but yes.
Wired Canuck is talking about he's got Journey and Toto.
See, Journey doesn't even have their same lead singer, so like let's just write them off already, right?
Yeah.
And the Cult is absolutely an awesome band. Yes, Dave, good to see you. Crush Networks. Yeah, so it's super interesting. The Cure also has a new album that's been in the works for a couple of years, and they played some songs in their European shows. But no, I'm definitely. So the thing about the Cure, though, they're not a stage performance band.
Yeah.
You're going to listen to the sonic, just in your faceness of that band. Because I've like I said, I've watched a bunch of their shows. They've got a bunch of live albums actually out on the Spotify's too. And I put the in-ears in and I crank them up and they sound really good. So anyway, and yes, Dave, I agree. The Cure is not oldies. So yeah. Hey, what have you bought lately? Have you random spent? Because it's time to talk about random spending.
My random spent since we last chatted is something I posted a video of just before the show. When I was fueling up. The DeLonghi as a following the advice of Wired Canuck, the coffee machine.
So I talked a little bit about this
super automatic
going into the super automatics, and I've been doing a lot of research as well because I don't mind my Nespresso. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the price for the pods keeps going up, and so now I'm pushing $1.50 a cup. Which isn't bad considering that I could go to $4 and they're pricing. I got an Americano the other day, which is normally like $3 and change, and it was pushing $6. I'm like, It's 2 shots of espresso and water. Like, seriously. So I started reviewing the options because I did the maths, and if you get a whole bean, a bag of whole beans, I think there's somewhere between 60 and 70 shots in a 2-pound bag of whole beans. It comes out to be somewhere around 40 cents, 40 to 45 cents, and then up, and it could go up as high as 60 cents if you really like the expensive, like, I don't know, pooped out of an animal coffee bean things. I heard that's a thing. I don't know.
It's certain brand of cats that will poop out the coffee beans that they eat.
And is that what it is?
They'll collect the beans from said defecations to be able to use them because they somehow digest. I don't know what it is. It's very expensive.
So at any rate, I'm like 40 cents. Okay, that, and then so I go look into the super automatics, and I'm not a big drinker of drinks with milk in them, but I do want to have that as an available option for guests who may come over and may want a latte or a macchiato. Does that have milk in it? I don't know these things. That's why I'm never going to make it as a barista. And I was originally looking at some of the earlier machine that you had, the Breville.
It's the Breville barista, or what it was.
Yeah, and because it's kind of like you get to have the experience of the making,
of being the barista.
And then I realized one morning that I oftentimes have a hard enough time putting the water in the boil kettle and pressing the lever to start the boil before I have coffee.
Right. I
probably should not be tasked with trying to figure out how to tamp down espresso beans and pull a proper shot. So I was looking at, yes, Phil Schnabel, Just Like Heaven is a Cure song. Friday I Am in Love as well. Yes, love song. Okay, sure. Okay, Never Enough. Never Enough's a great track. Love Never Enough. Love that track. In fact, the remix of that, I used to play in the clubs all the time. Anyway, totally sidetracked. So I was looking at the super automatics, and so I looked at the Breville unit that you have, and you immediately gave me the warning. What was the warning you gave about it?
There's commentary that it doesn't get the coffee hot enough because it's so fast to get it out. So if you have a cold cup, it can end up making not a great amount of coffee in a hot level. So I counter that by pre-warming my cup. And then dumping the water out from a kettle and then making my coffee, and it works well.
And so I, of course, drink Americano. So having hot, and it's not so much the coffee that's hot, but having the water that's hot.
Yeah.
So I am looking at one of the Philips units, but one that also has the little milk thing. So it'll do the Because originally thought about getting, I forget what they call them, the little unit that you can, the little metal unit that you put in the milk and you steam it. There's a name for that device. I don't know. Steamer thing.
A milk frother.
Well, it's not so much a frother. It's, well, yeah, it does the frothing. There's a name for the particular thing.
Yeah, I've seen one.
Because they've got a version of the machine I like that just does that doesn't have the automatic system. But then when I was down at Seattle Coffee Gear, some folks here, they have all the machines. And I walked in, he's like, well, let's pour you an Americano from this machine here, and you'll see just how hot it is.
Nice.
And then we went, and I was looking at another one, and he's like, well, if you want to pull another cup, I'm like, dude, this is my 4th cup of coffee. If I have another one.
Nice.
Things are not going to end well. So but they're expensive. They are not.
They're
not
definitely
cheap.
not cheap. They're definitely not cheap.
I did the math. It pays for itself in less than a year versus my pods.
Yeah. I'm probably going to be, I'm not breaking even unless I factor in the cost of my time and my mental capabilities in the morning, because with the Breville barista, the Breville barista version that I had, you were using raw beans. It did its own grinding. And it was actually pretty automated from the point of view of you put your shot arm inside of the area where the coffee grounds come down into. You just tamp it down and then put it inside the thing and press the button. Like, you could dial it in that much that it was automatic, but it was the frothing of the milk, which wouldn't apply to you, but the frothing of the milk, that was the pain in the butt. It gave me nightmares of going back to my university job of being a coffee barista before it was cool, and working till 3 a.m. making coffee shots for people coming out of the clubs in Toronto.
See, that's the cool thing about Toronto is they'd actually have coffee places open for after the clubs.
No, it was a coffee and dessert place. They had 48 different desserts. Basically, you would go after the club, and then you'd be able to get slices of cheesecake or pies or torts or whatever they were.
There you go.
And then you get all sorts of different types of coffees. I even know how to make a cafe latte that when you pour the espresso on top of it inside of a clear glass serving cup, it would give you the wave of the espresso that would go around the milk.
You're all fancy.
I know. I can't do art, but I can do in motion stuff. And that's about it.
Hey, did you know that throughout the show, people have been using the ! word followed by a word command and nominating words which will be used for the title of the show that is happening in a fortnight's time, of which, heads up, I am not going to be here for that show. I'm going to be in Yakistan. Well, for that show, I will be in Atlanta, I do believe. So it'll be a remote show. And we'll work something out. But you have to go to Twitter. No, wait, blah, 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 blah. What is it? What's the name of the link you have to go to actually vote? It's
patch it. So switch.showbot.tv.
Whoa, jeez, what was that voice?
Yeah, it was a very loud voice.
He's got to work on his audio. The audio guy's got the worst audio on the show.
Of course, that's how it works. But go to patchandswitch.showbot.tv and you can vote. You see, we've had a couple votes, 3. But you can go there and vote. Get in there and vote while we do this.
Unless, of course, you're listening to the replay.
Which case, don't go. I mean, you can go there.
You can still go and vote, but it's going to be different words.
Otherwise, if people don't vote, I'm just going to randomly pick them. Of course, that's usually the case anyway, because I just ignore what people say and I just pick the words.
You should talk to your manager about that.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that not a good thing?
Yeah.
No? All right.
So go ahead and vote for the rest of the show. Do we have random spends? My random spend was that. What was your random spend, my friend, as you wrap it up?
Boxes and packing tape and bubble wrap.
Packing tape.
This is my life.
Nice.
Yeah. Boxing everything up, getting in the garage. The house gets staged next week.
Mm-hmm.
So
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm going to pick a word. So it looks like we've got announcer guy, Pebcac, sticky tape, milk frother, lost bet, BTTN as in button, hiccup, blog post, AMA, little milk thing, frother, Yakistan.
I think Yakistan's got to be one of them.
I think it's going to be Yakistan, sticky tape, milk frother.
Nice.
That will be the show. So will you be doing a show from the Atlantas of Georgia?
I think so. I think we can figure something out.
Okay. All right. Well, good, because I'm unfortunately I'm going to be in an arena.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah,
no,
it's a
I'm
bit-
sorry.
it's a
That
little bit
Friday
loud.
we'll be at the high school loading them into a bus to get them to Yakistan. So I will not be able to do that.
Got it. Well, we'll figure something out. And I don't know if you saw the note, but there's actually a message from the Rich Campbells on campus.
Repeat that. The sound guy turned the music on. We're not done with the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Rich Campbell's on campus the week after and is asking if you want to do something. So make sure you reply to that.
We'll have to reply to that. All right.
Yeah.
So with that, we've come to the end of another exciting episode of the Patch and Switch program. Special thanks to everybody who's participated in the chat. Dave from Crush Networks, good to see you. TRP 8472. It's time for you to leave your post. Aspen Forrester, Jan, Steve Q, Lane. Thanks for dropping back by again. We missed you, Steve.
Mm-hmm.
We had Kuzmik over on the YouTubes, so want to shout out Kuzmik. Let's see who else has been here. He said Cloud Elf has been around. Aspen's been around. Good to see you, Aspen Forster. Jan, if I haven't mentioned you. Chaos, K. McFerrinkowski, the shadiest of pandas, SharePoint Madam I see is in chat. Steve Q. Lane, as mentioned previously. Everybody else that looks like bots. If you're Fuel's there, sorry, is a Bay? Is a Bay? Kata, Chaos, Clunky. All right.
This is the best part of the show.
Thanks for tuning into the program. We'll see you in a fortnight's time. Until then, have a weekend, everybody. Wah.
This is the after show.
This is the after show.
Have we ended the broadcast? Because the button at the top still says